Well, now that we're back in the office, you'll recall that we've installed the Egg Solution software on my laptop computer. We also went to the Egg Solution website. We downloaded the camera settings. We made those camera settings. We attached the lens and we went out and took our pictures on site. Now we're back in the office and we're going to actually take the photographs out of the camera and bring them into the Egg Solution software. Now the first step in this process is to create a separate album for each property. So to do that, we're going to go over here in the software. And on the left-hand side, we've got a demonstration house in Connecticut that comes factory loaded with your software. We're going to click on this pull-down arrow. We're going to go to the very bottom of this pick list, and we'll click on the words New Album. Now, under New Album, I can go up and name this by going up to Edit and Album Properties. Under Album Properties, I can now give this a name. So you're going to want to probably type in the address of the property. That way when you email this, it'll give the specific street address. So I'm going to put in here 123 Oak Street. You also wanted to include a price on this. There's a limited amount of space here, but this is about all of the editing we can do when we're going to actually attach these and send them out as emails. So we'll go over here and we'll click OK. And now what you'll see on the left-hand side is we have 123 Oak Street and we have no images loaded whatsoever. So now we're going to go back to my digital camera. This particular Sony camera comes with its own cable, and this cable connects into what's called a USB port. And depending upon the kind of camera you have, there are different connections. This camera also has the option of popping out a memory card, and I can actually slide this into an adapter. We're going to do it the standard way, as if we just bought the camera off the shelf. I'm going to pop open this little side door and actually attach the cable. This cable is directly connected to my computer, and what I'm going to do now is put it on the setting that connects it and sends that information over to my laptop. And I'm going to click on Open Image Source. Now, from the Open Image window, we'll go up and the default category or the default directory it looks in is My Documents. I'm going to click on this pull-down arrow, and depending upon the kind of camera you're using, whether you're putting your images onto a CD-ROM or a floppy disk, or you're using a card reader, it's going to vary as to where it finds these images. So however you've been using your digital camera to capture those images or collect them in the past, we'll do the same here. In my scenario, I'll click on My Computer, and it'll show up as the Sony memory stick, and that's on drive D. So all I'll do is double click that, and it'll bring up a directory of images that are currently on this digital camera. Now what we have is a list of all of the different pictures that we took when we went on site and took exterior and interior photos. Now if you'd like to, you can click on Select All and grab all of these images in one fell swoop and bring them into the software. So I'm going to click on Select All and then click on Open. And now what the software is doing is it's grabbing each one of those images and importing it into the Egg Solution software. What you'll see in the bottom right hand corner is we'll see it's actually collecting all of those images, and it's now going to load the first image. Now the software automatically starts auto-rotating the first image that was brought in. Now what I'd like to look at before we actually go in and manipulate the images, I'd like to take a look at the center of the screen here, and what you'll see are what Egg Solutions refers to as donuts. And you can tell whether your camera is set up properly if these donuts appear perfectly round. Now on occasion, if you have your camera set up improperly, these won't look like donuts. In fact, it'll fill the entire screen, or you'll see the top of the donut's been cut off. This means that you have the setting when you're taking the images incorrect, and you'll need to zoom out a little bit so that you can see the entire circle on your viewfinder on your digital camera when you take the pictures. So what we're looking at are perfectly taken pictures here. Each one of these donuts is perfectly round. We can see the entire circle in each of the images. Now, what we're looking at in the viewer window is the first 360-degree image that we took at the property. I can take control of the image by simply putting my pointer anywhere within the image, and by moving my mouse off-center. The further I move it off-center, it'll actually move the photograph in that direction. And the further I move it, the faster it will rotate that image. If I move it to the opposite direction, I can make it rotate in the opposite direction. I can also have a certain amount of flexibility to look up and down in the image by moving the pointer up and down. And I have the capability of zooming in by clicking on the plus sign just below the image to zoom in, or clicking on the minus sign to zoom all the way out. Now, what you'll notice if you zoom too far out is you'll create a distorted perspective of the image. So in most cases, you'll want to find a compromise about midway that lets you see the 360-degree image but doesn't create a great deal of distortion. Now let's go take a look at the images we took out at the property. What you'll notice, the first image is displayed on the left-hand side. What we're looking at is this donut up above is displayed down here in the viewer window. And all we really want to do at this stage is evaluate each picture and select just the best ones to keep in this album. So what I'm going to do is put my pointer on the picture, start spinning this image around, and see whether or not we've got any light issues. We've got a very crisp picture of the property. And if we scroll down, we can look down at the ground. Well, we'll notice by looking here, we can actually see this is the first picture we took. We can actually see a picture of the tripod and the camera in this image. So this picture so far looks very good. Let's go to the next image. Now to display that, simply put the pointer over that image and double click it. In this image, I actually moved into the shade in order to shelter the lens from the sunlight. So in this particular one, again, we've got a very crisp and clear image here. If we scroll down, you can see my silhouette there. I'm actually standing on the edge of the fence line. Now, before we move on, I'd like to show you one feature in the software that will allow you to take virtual tours from different properties and create one album that you could email or you could burn onto CDs. So let me repeat this. What we're going to do is take 2 or 3 of the virtual tours from 123 Oak Street, and we're going to paste them into an album where we're also going to paste virtual tours from other properties. So to do that, what we're going to do is select which 2 or 3 of these virtual tours we'd like to include. And what I'm going to do is on my keyboard, I'm going to hold the Control key down. That's usually in the lower left-hand corner. It's the CTRL key on my keyboard. I'm going to hold that down, and what I'm going to do now is click on the items that I want, or each of the images I want. I want the first picture, I want the living room, and I'll scroll over here and say I want the master bedroom. So what I've done is clicked and highlighted in orange each one of those images. Now what I'll do is move my mouse up to the upper left-hand corner, click on the word Edit, and I'm going to go down to the word Copy and do a single click on Copy. Now what I've done is copied all 3 of those images to the clipboard. And so what I'm going to do now is create a new album. And you'll recall we go up to the pull-down menu just above the Egg Solution logo. And we'll go down to the very bottom to the words New Album. And I'll go up to Edit and go to Album Properties. And we'll call this Sample Listing Album.